Pros. What's up, Paulie?
Going on, BM?
And what's up, YouTube? Episode 3 of the Two Guys from Jersey podcast. Great news, Paul. Management has extended the subscription sale to another week.
I took advantage of it today. I actually officially subscribed about 5 minutes before I came up.
We're up to like 5 subscriptions. If we get to 10,000 subscriptions by the end of the week, we'll come to your house and do the show live at your house. And that's a good deal, man. You can't beat that deal.
No, you can't. I mean, who wouldn't want this happening in their house right now?
You have to be the 10,000th subscriber, though, by Saturday, 11:59 p.m. So come,
Well,
come.
if we get 5 subscribers every 3 shows, I think for us to get 10,000, I think we're probably well into the year 3,000.
Hey, you got to start somewhere, Paul. Let's start the show with this will be our last episode about the World Baseball Classic with the
For
Major
another
League
3 years.
for another 3 years. The actual Major League season starts next year, so we'll have games that matter a little bit more to talk about.
Right.
But I mean, this was a big deal. Like, it got huge ratings. People seem to be super into it. So,
Mhm.
we can wrap it up, I guess, and kind of talk about it. I mean, we could start with the results, Paul. Venezuela beats the United States in the finals 3-2. Were you shocked by this result, Paul?
No. Um, I guess I wasn't shocked that Venezuela won. They have a really good team. But when you have Jackson Churio batting ninth,
Yeah.
that's a pretty good lineup. But I guess I was just a little shocked at how poorly they looked against a pitcher who hasn't had an ERA below 5 in about 4 years. So I think I was a little shocked at how they looked in losing the game, not that they lost the game.
Yeah, I wore my Diamondbacks hat in
In
celebration of
honor,
Eduardo Rodriguez because he pitched so well. Oh wait, that's right. He's never not injured. So I don't think he pitched at all for the Diamondbacks last year. But yeah, he looked like Sandy Koufax.
yeah,
I don't think there was a hard hit ball outside of the home run that Bryce Harper hit, which ironically was the only hard hit ball he had hit the whole tournament. So um yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I wasn't shocked, but because all the teams had outside of like Chechnya and some of those other teams, they're full of major league players,
mm-hmm.
but the American teams seem to be comprised of the most talented major league players.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was, you're watching the game and you're like, man, this game is very boring.
Not a lot of action.
Like I love a good pitcher's duel, but it wasn't really a pitcher's duel. It was bad hitting, which I
Agreed.
I guess you're gonna expect in a game in March, right? When guys are in spring training and they're working on things, but it was a
But the
snoozer.
United, but then the United States, they had mentioned it during the broadcast. They their offense had been pretty bad a few games in a row, so it wasn't even
Yeah.
this one game. And I'm going to ask you this, Brian, because I value your opinion about baseball and other things, but
Mostly just baseball though.
mostly just baseball. Um, there was a play middle to late of that game where Bobby Witt Jr. was up and the United States was losing 2-0, and he hit a rocket to third.
Yeah.
And off the bat, I thought it might have been a hit, but the third baseman fielded it on basically the outfield grass. And I'm thinking, Bobby Witt's very fast. The third baseman's playing so deep. You're down by 2 runs. And we had mentioned a little bit in text during the game about how they kind of looked like the playoff Yankees,
Yeah.
right? In that they just couldn't seem to have either the desire or ability to manufacture a run or to manufacture any kind of something happening on the base paths. It was everyone got up, tried to hit a home run, or tried to hit the ball 115 miles an hour and didn't. and we just kept going through the lineup. When you're Bobby Witt Jr. and the third baseman's playing that far back and you're down by a run, you got to lay one down, dude. Just lay one down.
Yeah.
And my bigger question is, do you think it is the way that we teach baseball in America is flawed, and that is just the American style of baseball? Because we see it across Major League Baseball, but I never really thought about it broken down by where the game was developed, like in what country. And I wonder, we talked a little bit about how we develop, baseball players in this country. You have a son who's a little bit older, how a lot of it's launch angle, how hard you could hit the ball, how far you could hit the ball, but not necessarily if you're just a smart or good ball player.
Yeah.
So do you think we just have a flawed approach to teaching the game in this country? Or do you think I'm just looking way too big picture on
So yes and yes and yes.
it?
So 100%, I think you have to do whatever you have to do to get on base. But I think when you become a guy who's getting paid $100 million, you're not thinking, well, I'm going to bunt here, right? Because I get
Right.
paid. I'm now Bobby Witt Jr. I get paid to hit 30 home runs a year.
Mm,
So I get paid to hit line drives. I don't want to bunt and let the next guy drive in the runs because he doesn't get paid $100 million. I get paid the $100 million, right? People come see me hit home runs.
mm,
You and I have talked about this some offline. What amazes me sometimes is you'll meet people whose kids play high school or middle school and they want to play college baseball. College baseball is still very much, if you get two guys on, if it's first and second, the third guy hits, bunts. It could be the third batter in the lineup, but a lot of teams still play that old school fundamental baseball. And people seem to think because they don't watch college baseball, they watch pro baseball, that college baseball is just pro baseball younger, but it's not. It's a whole different game. There's
right.
there's guys that are all Americans in college that don't ever sniff professional baseball because it's what they do in college is a different game, you
Right.
know? And they're not teaching that. I mean, you've probably seen professional games where it's a clear bunt situation, right? It's the bottom of the ninth inning. The first two guys get on base. For 100 years, you bunt those two guys over, so it's second and third with one out. And
Mm,
the team doesn't bunt. The next guy strikes out. Then the next guy hits a ground ball, double play. The inning's over. And it's like you could have an 8-year-old coach tell you, "Hey, just bunt those two guys over." Now a
mm,
ground ball, a fly ball, a pass ball, all those things score a run without ever getting a hit. But
mm.
the announcers say, "Oh, so and so probably hasn't bunted since Little League." Well, that's a problem because a bunt is a real play in baseball, but it's not a real play that they teach. And I'll go a step further, Paul, when they how they teach and how they recruit, leaving names out of it. There's a player in our area who's committed to go to college to play baseball. I couldn't tell you what position he plays on the field. I know he runs fast. I know he throws the ball hard. And I guess he hits the ball hard in batting cages. But when his team plays games, he doesn't play the field and he's not in the lineup and he's not a pitcher. But he's a senior who's committed to play college baseball. Well, when his high school team plays, he's not one of the 9 players playing. But a college goes, "Oh, we need this guy on our team to do what? Work out, you know?"
For batting practice.
Right. So there's some other kid who's probably a senior who's like, "Man, I know how to play baseball. I know I'm not as fast as that kid, but like I'm playing in the games." Like,
Right.
so yes, I think it is flawed. We're worried about exit velocity. We're worried about what's your 60 time. Well, that's great if you have a great 60 time, but you don't know that if there's less than 2 outs, when to run, when not to run, how to get a read on the outfielders, how to everyone made fun of Alex Rodriguez because he would like check the outfielders and like point to them. You know how many middle school kids I taught, "Hey, when you get on first base, the first thing you need to do is check where your outfielders are playing." Because if there's nobody out and the left fielder's playing in the left center field gap, and this guy hits a fly ball down the left field line, just start running. He's not going to catch it. It doesn't
Right.
matter that there's nobody out. You can start running. But
Mhm.
a lot of people go, "Oh, I got to wait halfway." Wait halfway for what? Who's out there? Ricky Henderson? He's not going to catch the ball. But if you're not checking the outfielders, you're not learning that. So they're not teaching that. They're teaching it hit the ball as hard as you can and as far as you can.
But what do you think happens between college and the pros? Do you think it's just the pure ego thing? Because, like you said, in college, the third place hitter will lay a bunt down. But Giancarlo Stanton's not bunting.
Well, I don't think those guys make it to the pros, right? The pros are just the top 2 or 1% of the guys in college. So
So, like, the
those,
pro teams don't want that type of player on their team who,
I mean, I think they want them, right? But those guys still aren't making it, you know? So like Aaron Judge played in college, but he still probably would have bunted 3 or 4 times. And don't get me wrong, like the SEC teams probably still aren't bunting as much. They're still probably
Mhm.
bunting some, you know. But I'll be interested like how Tony Viola manages the Giants this year with a
Mhm.
college mindset. He's never been in professional baseball at any level. He's only managed college. I imagine it's going to be a little bit different the way he manages a game, not in a bad way, in a good way. That
I
hey,
mean, you
we're
can
not
see that giving a team an advantage because not only our offense is not built like that anymore, and we've gotten so far away from that kind of traditional way of playing the game, like we talked about, but defenses aren't used to it either.
right, right.
So you have the modern day game where you're hitting and running and putting the ball in play and bunting guys over, and those defenses are going to make a mistake sooner or later.
Right. If you put the ball in play on a bunt, on a ground ball, make them field the ball as much as possible, make decisions, move around, do things. I mean, like we talked about the playoff Yankees, when you're just standing there swinging and missing, it's real easy to stand in the field and not make a mistake because they're not forcing any action onto you, right? If you start hitting line drives or bloopers or ground balls, and you're Jackson Churio or Ronald Acuna Jr. or whomever right into first base really, really fast, and then you're on first base threatening to steal second base, all of a sudden, every play the defense makes, there's a lot more pressure on you.
It's that, and it forces the pitcher to pitch from the stretch, to have to think
Right.
about a runner on first. I mean, there's no real downside to it. And that's what I felt like I was watching. It was a team that was every person on the team was trying to win it, the game in there at bat. Every
Right.
time I stepped in the batter's box, it was like, I'm going to get a hit that's going to win this game, or, I need to hit the home run.
Right.
Um,
Like I mean, part of the the atmos. I think the World Baseball Classic exposes the atmosphere of the way different countries play baseball, the style, the atmosphere. The
mm,
Dominican Republic, the Venezuelan teams were a lot more sort of boisterous and bat flips and things like that. And you could call it joy, arrogance, whatever you want to say. The Americans were much more muted. The Japanese almost too much. But
mhm,
there's different ways you can tell those countries teach and play the game, right? Like,
mhm.
I mean, Vlad Guerrero had a quote a long time ago that like he swung at everything, and he said because you don't get out of the Dominican Republic walking, you hit your way off the island. You don't walk your way off the island.
Right.
You know, so that's the way they teach kids over there. I'm sure. Like you got to hit, you got to do something. If there's 200 kids at some camp, what are you going to do to stand out, right? Where the American kids, it's like, well, we'll just pay for you to go to another camp. You know, we'll
Yeah.
pay for you to go to the next camp. There's 314 colleges, Division One, Two, and Three, and junior colleges. We'll find somewhere for you to play.
Mm.
Yeah. Oh, that coach doesn't want to play you. Well, there's another travel team down the street. We'll get. Hey, you know what? Maybe your dad and your Uncle Paul. We'll make our own travel team. Like that. The Dominican guys are putting cardboard boxes on their hand, learning how to play shortstop. We're going. Well, this is the A2000, Dad, and I wanted the Rawlings. Blah 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 blah. How am I supposed to feel with this glove? It's 2 years old. Where they literally have cardboard, they have cereal boxes as gloves. Why is he a better fielder? That's why. That's why.
Right.
You know,
And I think that whole idea of, we just keep using bunting, but I think it's part of the game that is doing the little things. And I feel like in this country, especially in Major League Baseball, it's like seen as like a move that's either desperate, right? Like you trying to lay down a bunt, um, and you get thrown out. It's kind of like you made this desperate attempt to get on base, or maybe it's because you couldn't get a hit, so
Right.
you're kind of conceding that I can't really hit it, so I'm gonna have to try and bunt it. There's like this kind of like negative aura around those things here, but
Hmm.
it doesn't seem like it's like that anywhere else. I think everywhere else it's just considered using your skills and your abilities to their advantage, right? Like if I'm fast or if I see you playing out of position, I'm going to take advantage of it. That just makes me smart.
Right.
And I don't think we view it the same way here anymore. Anyway.
No. And it didn't used to be that, right? Right. There used to be different players who played the game differently. Some guys were fast and they bunted and they played good defense and they stole bases. Other guys, were Steve Balboni and they were just big slugger guys, and that's what they did. And the team was comprised of them. Now it's just a race to, well, who's the pitch? Who's your guy who throws the hardest? Oh, well, this guy, he throws 101. Okay. But none of them throw strikes. Like there's not a real difference in pitchers, right? There's very few pitchers. It's who has the hardest throwers.
And spin rate, right?
Right. It's spin rate. And it's who can get the biggest collection of guys that hit the ball the hardest. I think that was what was sort of refreshing about the Blue Jays is that they seem to have some guys who just hit line drives and put the ball in play.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a little bit of a more grittier type of. Now, none of those guys were on the World Baseball Classic team. Maybe they could have used some dudes that were just out there hitting line drives and trying to put the ball in play and make contact.
Well, or wasn't Ernie Clement on the team?
He was. He just didn't. He didn't play in the last two games. I don't think.
But that's kind of my point is like the reason baseball worked in that time we just talked about, and where I don't know about worked, but just was a little more exciting to watch was because you had a good balance of those guys on
Right.
any given lineup. You had, your leadoff hitter, your number two guy, a cleanup hitter. It all kind of made sense. But you look at that World Baseball Classic lineup, you had Bobby Witt Jr. batting leadoff, and he's fast and steals bases, but he's not Devon White or,
Right.
any of those Juan Pierre type leadoff hitters. He hits 30 to 40 home runs. But then you have Bryce Harper, Aaron Judge, Kyle Schwarber. It's just these same guys that slug, slug, slug. Um, and then it just get exposed. When the guy's out there throwing and you're having a hard time hitting, you don't have another trick in your bag. You
Right.
know, like Aaron Judge can't bunt,
Right.
Kyle Schwarber can't bunt, Bryce
Right.
Harper can't bunt.
Right.
You're just limiting yourself by putting a lineup together that is that. They would have been better off having Ernie Clement, maybe having Pete Crow Armstrong near the top of the lineup, balancing that lineup out. But when you have all slug guys and you have a pitcher who's out there who's, dotting his changeup all over the place, that's what it looks like.
Yeah. No, and I think again, a lot of that is flawed because when kids and high school kids and younger college kids, everyone tries to pigeonhole all players into one style of play. So if you're a pitcher and you're in high school and you're like, well, you're a junior or a sophomore, forget a junior. I think by a junior, that's it. If you're not throwing 90, you're no longer a pitcher.
Hang him up, right?
So it's like, well, yeah, but that kid is a sophomore and throws whatever he throws, but he throws strikes all the time. He gets guys out. Yeah, but he has. We're going to keep throwing this kid because he throws 88 already, and yeah, he probably walks four, five, six guys every game. But man, when he's throwing strikes, no one can touch him. Right, but the team's losing because he's hitting players and he's walking everybody. Well, yeah, but his arm's electric. No, I understand, but he can't throw a strike, and he's a sophomore in high school
Right.
you know? And that's fine if you want to keep working with him as a pitcher, but you can't discount the guys with the other talents. And I think this World Baseball Classic team, at least for the last two games, had playoff Yankee type lineups where it was, hey, let's wait for Bryce Harper or Aaron Judge to hit a 2-run home run.
Mhm.
And they had, Eduardo Rodriguez was on and they couldn't hit him. I mean, that the Cubs closer is just good. He's a good closer. So in the ninth, it was tough. I forget who they pitched in the other innings. Um,
Um,
but you got to get
yes.
some hits at some point, you know?
And I think the style of play, that we just outlined was definitely part of the reason they lost that game. The other reason, and we touched about it in our other two episodes, is the just pure desire to want to win that game.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying the United States didn't want to win, but Venezuela canceled work for everyone in the country
Right.
to watch that game.
Right.
You know what I mean? We didn't do that here.
No, we barely could bring ourselves to cancel a episode of Family Guy to put it on Fox. The final was on Fox, but the
Yeah,
semifinal was on FS1
that's
because
right.
because Peter and Brian were on some wacky adventure on a new episode of Family Guy.
Right. Venezuela canceled work and we moved it from Tubi.
Right. That's
That was
that's
our big
right.
that was our big move.
That's right. We're really sacrificing here, you know. We
This
allowed
means a
Mason
lot to
Miller
us.
to pitch one extra inning. Right.
Um, I mean, was it Palencia? I think that's his name, the
The
closer for
Cubs
the
closer, yeah.
he was literally shedding tears on the mound prior to throwing the last pitch.
Right. Yeah.
So, and I don't know if I'm saying this because I think the United States players should feel that way. It's just impressive to see somebody want to win a sporting event. That's kind of an exhibition that much, you know?
Yeah, I mean it's a glorified exhibition, but I think the United States wanted to win, but I think
They wanted to win because everyone thought they should win.
right, but I think they more didn't want to lose more
Right,
than they
right.
wanted to win. Whereas Venezuela, even the Dominican Republic, even Italy, I think Italy just ran out of gas. They wanted to win, you
Yeah,
know.
100%.
Now, Italy, I think 80% of their guys were born in the United States. The
At
Venezuelan
least.
dudes they're from Venezuela. Like 8 of them were from that same small town or whatever, the
Mm-hmm.
little village. Um, those dudes wanted to win for Venezuela. The United States, it was like, man, we can't lose this. That was more adverse to losing than desire to win the game.
And I think that was evident in that last game because when you play that way, you play tight.
Oh yeah, they were
You,
tight as a drum, man. That
yeah.
was that was brutal to watch. How like just
If Bryce Harper didn't hit that 2-run home run, imagine they got that game ended 2-0.
yeah,
That would have been one of the most lifeless, talk about not showing up games. Outside of that one hit, if they got shut out, that was one of the most feeble efforts I've ever seen in any kind of elimination game.
yeah. I think in the semifinal and the final, right? They didn't have a runner in scoring position because Harper was never in scoring position. He just hit a home run.
Right. And I think there was a man on first when he hit it. And I think
Right.
the only other hit they had with a runner in scoring position was another home run, I think.
Yeah, and the in the semifinal, it was like the last 6 innings or something. So they had one previous, but I
Right.
mean, for the last essentially, 17 innings, it was just nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was just a single and Harper's home run.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you think about the atmosphere, like the general atmosphere makeup of the tournament? Because a lot of people online were saying like this one sort of took it up another notch. Like it was really good when it started and it kind of faded for a while, but then it sort of has come back a little bit.
I think so.
Yeah.
I I don't really have a memory of like when it started in terms of in that respect, like what the energy was. But I do remember the last one in particular not feeling like this at all.
Yeah.
Like this felt very much like, and I think it's a byproduct of just more buy-in from the major league players. You know, not even just American players, but just across the board. Um, and I think as time goes on, you just get more superstars in the sport that aren't American, right?
Yeah.
So you have, you know, when this thing started. When did it start? Like 15 years ago?
No
20 years
more,
ago?
right? I think 2000,
Like 2000,
2002. Yeah, it's been
something
around
like
like
something.
20 years. It's been around a while.
Like Japan wasn't really a powerhouse,
Right.
but now they're one of the most exciting teams to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm sure Venezuela at that time, same thing, right? So I think as you get more players from other countries who are superstars in the major leagues, it was fun watching that Venezuela team because you watch baseball, all those players,
Oh yeah.
you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Um, so and hopefully it keeps that kind of momentum going forward, which I think it probably will because it almost creates this rivalry. Then you should have a lot of the same guys who are coming back 3 years from now.
What what can we do to change it to make it better? Because I mean, I know the big thing for me is the timing of it. I don't know. I mean,
That's what I was going to say.
we talked about this last year around the All-Star break of including it, but what's the whole thing? 9 days? People complain about the All-Star break, they don't get enough time off. You know, include it with the All-Star break, hold it in the All-Star cities somehow, incorporate. So for one, cut the amount of teams, I think, and you can cut a couple of days off. I'm
Mm-hmm.
sorry, Chechnya and some of these other teams have some sort of European preliminary round elsewhere where only the top one or two teams from those countries come over. I know it's a great story about the Chechnyan plumber who's taken PTO to come pitch, but Australia and Chechnya and some of these other teams coming to get the absolute doors blown off in the pool
Uh,
play round doesn't do anything, right? And
it's hard. It's hard because one, I actually really enjoyed having baseball to watch. That was somewhat meaningful. Like when it
right.
was over, and all of a sudden it was 8 o'clock at night on a Thursday. It was like, there's no baseball on. There's been
There's a
baseball
real
on for
game,
2 weeks,
right?
right?
Yeah.
Um, and my fear about moving it to the middle of the season is that you'll lose some players because the season's now in full swing,
Right. So they'll
and
want more break time.
they'll want more break time. Maybe they're a little banged up. And then there's just other stuff that's going on. We're in a pennant race. Like all these teams now, like don't know where they're going to be in the middle of the season. So I feel like I'll commit to play this because I was going to have to go to spring training anyway. Now it's July, and you're
Right.
going, man, we were 8 games out, but now we've got within one. Like when would you have to commit? Would you have to say you were going to commit at the beginning of the season? What if all those guys get injured? Like the middle of the season does present a whole other set of
A
kind of
set of
obstacles and
problems.
challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but maybe they could just like give the guys spring training, right?
Do it
And
at
then
the
do it.
end.
Yeah. Like do it more towards the end. That way you don't risk guys not wanting to jump right into competitive baseball because they didn't really get a spring training. That way they can still be around their teams. Because one of the reasons Aaron Judge said he didn't want to do it in the last one was he didn't know if he was switching teams because he was a free agent.
Oh, that's
So
right.
so he said I might have been in a new clubhouse and I didn't want to not be there for spring training. So then you would have guys being able to go to their entire spring training and then maybe go to the World Baseball Classic for the end of spring training instead of at the beginning. Like you said, you're adding like a week.
Right.
You know, like move spring training up a week. The start of it. It's in Florida. It'll still be warm. You know.
I just
So
think the timing's tough because, like DeRosa and I think the Venezuelan manager too. Um, there were so many restrictions on even the guys who were there. Like Mason Miller was only allowed to pitch if it was a save situation, which so why couldn't he pitch still one inning if it wasn't a save situation? And the Palacio, whatever, he had the same restriction. He could only pitch for Venezuela if it was a save situation. Well,
mhm.
that to me does it makes sense to the club saying there's restrictions on when they can pitch and how much they can pitch. But a save situation or not is not a realistic restriction. One inning is a realistic restriction. Number of pitches is, but Michael Kay pointed this out today on his show. If you're the home team, once you're tied going into the ninth inning, there's not going to be a save situation for you because you can only win on a walk off.
Right, right, right,
So if you don't, you have to pitch the top of the ninth. You're not going to ever
right,
pitch the bottom, you know?
right. Does
So
that count? Right,
so he could have packed up his things and gone home.
right.
But pitching in a non-save situation still for one inning doesn't harm him any more than pitching a save situation.
Hmm.
But he wasn't allowed to pitch. It wasn't a save situation. That was the deal the Padres made with him, you know?
Right, right. That is interesting.
You know,
And I don't know if moving it back a week alleviates any of those restrictions or not.
right.
So I don't even know if that. We've already established you can't do it at the end of the season.
No, the end
Um,
of the season, guys that are beat up or hurt or in the playoffs, you'll have less participation at the end of the season.
and even viewership, man. After people in this country watch the World Series, it's kind of like when they had the Pro Bowl in football after the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
We're done with football. The Super Bowl already happened.
right. And I mean, the NBA has toyed with that in-season tournament thing. Like the way they're doing one, I know it's a lot of travel and stuff, but most of these guys are in the major leagues. Like, soccer does different champions leagues and things throughout the season. Like, I don't know the logistics of that, but I'd be interested to see like, hey,
The
this
difference.
weekend is World Baseball Classic weekend, and all the teams play, Thursday through Sunday, you're with your country and you play, 4 or 5 games or whatever for World Baseball Classic pool play.
And then you go back to your team for a
Uh,
week or something.
Right, and then you go
And then
back
the
to your
next
team.
weekend, you go to the next round.
Well, you go back to your team for like for a month. Like you just have to do it because you have to get 3 or 4 pool play games in for however much time. So if you play 2 games that weekend, that's half your pool play, and then next month you play the other half. Now your pool play's done. You know who's in the last
The semis, right?
that right, which
Or
is
the
how many
quarterfinals, right? Yeah.
right, which is what like 4 games. You know, then even if you met at the All-Star break, that's literally that took them 3 days to do that. I mean, Venezuela didn't even get a day off between their semi and their finals. They played the next day.
I wonder if Major League Baseball doesn't want that showing up their All Star game, though.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure they don't, right? And then if you're an all-star player, you don't do one or the other. But I mean,
It wouldn't have to coincide with the All Star break. I mean, you could do that and start it in May and be done by June, the end of June, the way you just outlined it. It's going to take 3 weeks, 3 weekends.
they got 10.8 million viewers to watch the championship of the World Baseball Classic in March, and they only had 15 to watch the World Series. So it's clearly popular.
Mhm.
So building on that, if 3 years from now you said, "Hey, this weekend's like World Baseball Classic weekend," and because of the weather and everything else, Yankee Stadium could be U.S. versus Canada, U.S. versus Brazil, and U.S. versus. You don't think they're going to get sold out crowds to watch that game? Of course they're gonna. Like
100%.
you'd get crowds, and then in Miami you could have Venezuela versus Dominican. You'd get huge crowds and huge TV ratings. And like, yeah, you're losing a weekend of major league games, but
But most people aren't watching them anyway.
right. And they've been wanting to shorten the season anyway. But the key is you're still drawing people's attention to baseball.
Yeah, that's true. And you would get a better attendance, with it being stuck in one location for all of the quarterfinals.
Right.
You know, Realistically, you could pick a geographic region like the East Coast.
Right.
The U.S. could play Brazil in Philadelphia. 2 days later, could play Italy in Yankee Stadium.
Right.
and then 2 days after that, play in Washington D.C. So you can
Right.
get people from all those geographic areas who would show up to a game.
Right. Do you imagine the U.S. versus Italy in Yankee Stadium? You
All
know?
those paisans in Manhattan showing up with their pizza and
That's right. That's right. All
their
right. Well,
gabagool.
the gabagool. Gabagool. Well, let's end it on this, Paul. Mark DeRosa, do they need a new manager? We talked
Yeah,
about this before.
of course they do.
If they if he won or lost, he lost. Now the takes have been hot and many. Some people defending him, saying, "Oh, it's a tough job. He
It is a
can't
tough
play this
job.
guy or this or that guy."
Just because it's tough doesn't mean it's hard to be good at.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is the thing, I think, and it kind of goes to your point a little bit about how the trajectory of this tournament is kind of on the upswing in terms of momentum. He's good for the job when it's more clearly an exhibition
Yeah.
because he's got the personality, he's got, he talks to people in a certain way, and he's likes to have a good time, and everything's nice and relaxed. But then you see the fallout from them not winning. They're getting killed uh, on the internet, you know. So it's like, okay, this is kind of serious. So I feel like you need a more serious manager.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it
Yeah.
doesn't have to be, the guys don't have to be doing push-ups in the dugout, but like, give me somebody like Bruce Bochy, or you mentioned Joe Girardi, or Buck Showalter, somebody who's gonna doesn't have to be everyone's friend,
Right.
but just knows the game really well. So I think his course, I think he's run his course, and
Yeah.
I think it's kind of passed him by a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I think too, it's a big deal, right? If I'm trying to get a job with some of these guys' clubs, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want them to like me because if a year from now there's an opening and they go, well, what'd you think of DeRosa? And it's like it's kind of an asshole, like like we're losing to Venezuela. He's kicking buckets and he's
Right,
he's pulling Will Smith for a pinch hitter and he's blaming us and he's yelling because we're striking out. It's like it's an exhibition. Like take it easy. It's not the World Series, DeRosa. Or is he going to be like, nah, hey, it's cool, guys. Like he wants all those guys to like him, so word gets around big league clubhouses like, oh no, DeRosa's a good dude.
right,
But
right.
I think professional athletes more want to win, and that's what is the currency in sports. Not everyone likes you, like you're not their friend.
And I honestly think I would have felt that way too, minus the obvious huge blunder of thinking you advanced past one round, even when you didn't.
Right,
Like to me, it's not even just that. It's just it kind of coincides what we talked about the other teams just wanting to win, and I think that goes hand in hand with taking it very seriously, right? And not to say that he took it lightly, but he was walking around to me like he was walking around like he won the lottery. He just kept talking about, oh, so this is so great.
right,
We go out to team dinners and it's so much fun.
right. It'd be
Okay,
like if me and you got hired. Like, dude, I'm
right.
having dinner with Aaron Judge. Are you kidding me right now?
This is the
This
greatest
is
thing
this
on
is, this
earth.
is amazing.
But
So
who cares if
awesome.
we win? Right.
So, like, I got the manager game against Venezuela today. It's amazing. It's like, calm down, man. Like, be cool. It's your job. Like a kid in a candy store out here managing baseball players. Yeah,
I
that
think
is
he'd
your
be
job.
shocked. I think he'd be shocked. I'd be shocked if he came back. And in fact, if I were him, I'd just come out now and say, that was fun. But
Yep.
now it's time for somebody else to do it.
Right. I had a good
Just
run.
walk away.
Right.
Right.
I think he's already the first guy to do it for two
Right.
cycles. You don't
Right.
need to do it for three. Right.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Like, I mean, you could look at some of the decisions, right? Like, he doesn't pinch hit at all. Cal Raleigh at 60 home runs. You're down one at some point. Maybe get a bat in his hand.
With the righty pitching too.
Right. Like, get a bat in his hand. I know he's been cold for the World Baseball Classic, but so is Bryce Harper. Like, big players make big plays in big spots. And I like Will Smith.
Unless you're Aaron Judge.
Unless you're Aaron Judge, but hey.
It's another story for another day.
That's another story for next week's podcast, Paul. Next week's podcast. But yeah, I think we have 3 years to find a new WBC manager. But I'm with you. Like it made spring training go by quick. Opening day on Netflix is next week, so we'll have that. Um, so
Doesn't sound right.
no, it doesn't. It doesn't.
Like I don't feel like I should be watching the Yankees in the same place I watch Stranger Things. Like it just doesn't feel right.
No, no, no. The world is being taken over by these streaming services, and I understand it's all about money, but it is weird, and you know it's not going to work. Like it's going to be bad. It's like when you have
It's
to
the
watch the games on Friday nights on Apple
I,
TV,
I refuse.
and I'm sure he's a very nice man, but there's a guy that does the games who has a British accent. He might be, it might be Australian. I don't know. He has an accent, you know, and it's just not right, man. Sorry, it's not right. If I went and did cricket matches, they'd be like, who's this guy? Like, who hired this person to announce our sport?
Right. This, foreigner
This
who knows
Yank,
nothing.
right? Why is this Yank? And he's probably very knowledgeable, but I'm distracted by the accent. I'm sorry. Call me ignorant. You can call me a lot of things, Paul, but you can't call me wrong on this one. I'm distracted.
I wish Joe Davis had such a thick accent that I couldn't actually understand what he was saying.
I mean, we were texting it back and forth. It's so bad. There's times that I am zoned out for minutes going, I don't know what he's talking about anymore.
Now, do you think they told him that he had to say the same things about the same players every game in case a new person was watching? If he told me one more time that this is the first time Aaron Judge wore a USA uniform, I was going to punt my TV down the street.
No, I think he is just
Taking it
bad.
upon himself to
Yeah.
fill time.
I think he's just kind of bad. I think he's one of those people that has failed upward, right? He's in the right spot at the right time. He has a good voice. He probably has a really good agent, so he keeps getting these jobs. But if objectively listen, you go, this guy is not good. You know, it's a great tie-in, right? Because Howie Rose, I think today announced it's going to be his last year doing Mets radio calls. Listen,
Shit.
listen to Howie Rose do a Mets radio call. He's not into this nonsense like Joe Davis. I know it's TV and it's radio, but you listen to it and it's an experience listening to the game. Same way it was with John Sterling.
Mhm.
They're announcing the game, but you're part of a conversation with the other person, even though it's a one-way conversation.
Mhm.
Joe Davis, it's when the annoying coworker stops by your office and starts telling you about their weekend that you don't want to hear about. And they just talk and talk and talk. And you go, wait, are you telling me about your neighbor and a conversation the two of you had a week ago? What are you doing here right now? Like, Joe
Right.
Davis gets so far off the beaten path. Like, his famous thing will be like, Judge fouls that one off a lot like he fouled the one off against Italy in the third inning. No one cares, Joe. No, what are you talking about? Like, this is your comparison that foul ball was similar to one 3 games ago in the third inning. Cool, man. Cool. Great job.
Yeah, it's yeah. So when they fire Martirosa, they should fire him too. That should be a
Yeah,
package deal.
I hope the WBC is up for bid and it could go someplace else than FS1, FS2, Fox, Tubi, and wherever else it was on.
To
You
be
know?
continued.
Yeah, the I'll end on this, Paul, because it is March Madness time. Whoever invented the March Madness televised system should give lectures to other networks and whatever else and say, this is how it's done. There's always multiple games on. The games end. The next game begins. There's a bracket that lays them all out. You know what you're going to get, right? The first
Mhm.
weekend, Thursday and Friday, Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday. They don't change it, right? You
Mhm.
play Thursday, you play Saturday. You play Friday, you play Sunday. You win, you advance. Da 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 da. It's like the phone number rhythm. Like we all know it, we all love it. Great. You add four teams, who cares? It doesn't affect my bracket. Everyone knows it.
Right.
Like you know what TV it's on. You have it. You're not looking around going, well, wait a second. How I feel like the World Baseball Classic needs that. Like baseball has that, regular baseball has that, right? You start your game at 7 or at 1, sometimes at 4. This thing, it was all over the place. You're on Tubi, you're playing this day, you're playing that day. Then all of a sudden, like, hey, we got to get this thing done by this day. So semifinal, 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 final. Like in 4 days, they played the most important games.
Yeah. And when you watch March Madness, the announcers don't tell you that the point guard from, St. Mary's, you know, cat died in a fire every time they play.
Right. They tell you one
Like,
time. That's right.
the
Yep.
first time. This is
Yep.
the first time they're playing. We're going to fill you in on this.
Yep.
Then we're just going to tell you about what the person's doing on the field.
Right. They
Right.
let the game breathe, right?
Right.
That's the problem with Joe Day. There's no breathing involved. He
He's
has to fill
suffocated.
every
He's
second
suffocated.
of air. Right.
Yeah. With really shitty air. It's horrible.
It's that nervous energy. Well, before opening day, Paul, we have to do our Yankee preview
Mm-hmm.
and we have to do the casino. So those will be 2 episodes 100% coming up. So stay tuned. Don't
All
forget
right.
to subscribe, like the video, comment on the video. Apparently, that's a thing on YouTube. If you make a comment, more people see the video. So I don't know. Comment who you think should be the new USA manager. It could be Paul, it could be me. We don't care who it is. Put your own name down there. Just put a name. Anybody.
Anything.
Anything. Just not, it cannot be Mark DeRosa. If it's Mark DeRosa, you're banned from subscribing to this channel. No Mark DeRosas in the comments below. And we'll see you next week, right, Paulie?
Peace out.